The World Bank's Ease of Doing Business report for 2018 has placed Nigeria in the 145th position. This is 24 positions better than the 169th position the nation was ranked in the 2017 report. According to the report released by the World Bank recently, Nigeria is among the 10 top countries that improved on reforms. New Zealand is first on the ease of doing business for the second consecutive year. The areas that Nigeria improved with reforms were in starting a business, dealing with construction permits, registering a property, getting credit and paying taxes. While one of the areas where Nigeria performed poorly was in access to electricity. The average number of procedures it required to get electricity in sub-Saharan Africa was put at 5.3, and the number of procedures required in Nigeria was put at 10. Well, joining me in the studio right now is Professor Michael Umeadi. He's an expert on business management and organizational leadership. Professor Umeadi, you're welcome to the program Frontiers.
Thank you so much.
I am Ifeanyi Okafor. We'll take a quick break on the program and we'll play you this insert to set the tone for our discussion. The program Frontiers continues in a moment.
Over the years, Nigeria has been in the index of countries with unfavorable environment of doing business, especially by the foreign investors. As much as the developed world see Africa as the major gold mine waiting to be explored, knowing fully well that a lot of untapped potentials are buried in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, even Benin Republic have had avalanche of investors as they are seen to be more secured with favorable environment for business as well as basic social amenities of making businesses thrive. However, the inception of Muhammadu Buhari-led administration brings to bear the need to make Nigeria assume her pride of place, not only as the giant of Africa, but as the investment destination once again. This they do by the promotion of made-in-Nigerian products. Apart from actions expected from the executive arm, institutional and legal instruments required to redress the challenges in the ease of doing business caught the attention of the National Assembly. This led to the constitution of the National Assembly Business Environment Roundtable in collaboration with the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NASG, Nigerian Bar Association and UK's DFID. Reviewing and or enacting about 15 laws were reviewed as critical to a favorable ranking in doing business in Nigeria. Of the 15 bills at different legislative processes, 2 have been passed by the National Assembly and assented to. The 2 bills signed into law by the acting President Yemi Osinbajo was also to make the environment business-friendly and facilitate access to more affordable credit for Nigerians.
Good to have you back on the program Frontiers. We still have with us Professor Michael Umeadi, and as I said, he is an expert on business management and organizational leadership. Now, essentially, what is the ease of doing business?
My definition for ease of doing business is those liberalize the process towards the economy that may and will induce growth to the economy.
Okay, when you talk about inducing growth to the economy and liberalizing the economy, what must we as a nation begin to think about doing?
Very good. In global economy of today, we cannot act on the process of what we had before, say, in the early 60s and 60s till 2010 or 2010. From this 2017, I think the most important thing we can do is, first of all, to create an enabling environment for our economy. And the process of creating an enabling environment for our economy is through liberalization of the economy. How do we liberalize the economy? We have to reduce those regulations that are very, very, very strenuous or constrained to the economy. Then we have to also reduce taxes. We have to also put down policies that we look out for to salvage and increase the growth of small businesses in our country. For example, it is not possible for us to begin to run an economy of development if we don't first of all define what political economy of Nigeria is. The political economy of Nigeria, in my own definition, which ease of business comes under, is the political structure framework, the legal framework, and the economic framework. If you talk about the political structure, or political social structure or framework, we are talking nothing but the way we can begin to understand the global political game.
Okay, we will go into each one of what you have said, but we need to take you back to what you said earlier. You talked about the 1960s, 1970s. Now, what are we doing that is different from what we were doing then? Because if you look at that era, we actually had a very thriving economy. So what you are saying, we shouldn't go back to the 1960s and 1970s. But in the 1960s and the 1970s, we had a thriving economy in Nigeria.
You see, that is how a layman will see it, that the economy was good from 1967, 1970, 1990, up till 2015. The economy was never good. The economy of the country was never good. You see, let me give you an example. In 1967, the head of state at that particular time had a lot of money from oil. And what he did was to create a farm fair. You see, inviting people for All African Festival. People came in here, ate the money, and went away. Okay? After a while, the money did what? Depleted. And what happened? Another government came in under Murtala Mohammed, and this government that came in also felt that there were no money. So what they did was to nationalize the assets, foreign assets, which was not very good to be done. Because if you see today, First Bank used to be Standard Chartered Bank, Union Bank used to be Barclays Bank, and NPC used to be Shell BP. That was nationalized in order to get money, okay? They got money. Now, he continued. Now, they handed over this money to the civilian administration of the presidential era, Shehu Shagari. The economy was not good. When Shehu Shagari came in, he continued with the economy, and what happened? The economy failed again. And the now president came. When the now president came, he didn't stay for more than 1 year. The other government came in. You see, if you look at the succession, the economy was never good. Under the other government that came in, there was devaluation of our currency. You see, that is what happens when you don't do complete reform. When you do reform, haphazard reform, what you see is any money you put in there, it soaks it in. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to give you a real program of success, a real output, because this is garbage in, garbage out. This is what it should be, outcome.
Well, before we take a look at some of the things you have said, we do know that in that time, we had a situation where the Naira was quite strong. The exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar was almost at par, and oil was still selling at a very good price. The standard of living was quite high at this time. The situation is different today. Now, we have begun to key into the ease of doing business. Now, what impact is this expected to achieve to us as a nation?
You see, ease of doing business, like I told you earlier, ease of doing business must be in conformity with the liberalization of the economy, I still repeat. Because, you see, you cannot do business easily if you don't reform the economy. And if you reform the economy, the outside world will begin to see your reform, that your reform is open, and you begin to get your marks downwards. Now, they will put in money, and you can build the foundation structure of your economy.
Now, what areas of reforms are we looking at the moment?
Regulations must be pared down. Less regulation completely, less taxes, consumer support policies, okay? Payment support programs and policies, okay? And immigration policies, okay? The vice president has done, and the president and the vice president have done a good job to the immigration reform process in ease of doing business. But they need to go more on that.
You mentioned tax system.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with the current role of the tax as it is being done in the country?
I'm not satisfied, because if you go to states where small businesses are doing business, you begin to see state governors talking about IGR, internally generated revenue, taxing the people to death. You see them, you open a company. I saw one man complaining. You open a company, you see this group of people come, take money from you in form of levy, which is taxes as well. And then you pay state tax, you pay federal tax, and you still pay all these taxes. So it's humongous. It's making the businesses to run away.
A school of thought would say that we here in this part of the world, that our taxes are a bit relaxed. Overseas and in the developed nations, you're taxed for virtually everything that you have, for water, for television, for almost everything, including the value-added tax on any item that you purchase in the supermarkets.
Yeah, exactly. You say the developed world. You see the acronym there, the developed world. This is a developing country. In a developing country, you must loosen your taxes in order to develop. If a factory in Germany sees that taxes are low here, they will come in. That's what Chinese did. When Chinese came in and started looking for foreign direct investment, they even went as far as giving money and giving land and giving 10 years moratorium on taxes. In New York,
would you say the taxes here are not low?
They are not low for the kind of economy that we have. They are not low. You see, we need to reduce taxes completely. Forget these levies that most governors or government of states impose on their people, making people run away. If you go now, for example, to some states, I won't mention them, you begin to see them running away from there, going to another states to begin business where they think the environment is much better. If you have low taxes, people will come in. You see, you got to induce people to come in and blow the economy out.
So would you say that taxes have actually significantly affected the ease of doing business?
Not only taxes. You see, taxes is one of it. Regulations. Regulations. You see, it takes about 7 to 6 months to have a permit from some public institutions. I'm not going to mention name, public institution. And that is not very good. You see, if you want to begin to think about bringing people in and bringing foreign investors, including your people, our people that are overseas that have the wherewithal to come in, you got to slow down and make sure that the economy is in an enabling phase for them to come and participate. For example, I applauded the president and the vice president for making immigration reform, but they need to go a little bit forward. You see, we cannot only make immigration reform only to coordinate, only ease of giving visa or contract, visa stuff. We have to go forward to denote that expatriate quota. There is nothing like expatriate quota right now. Because if you say expatriate quota, it means you are already allowing two currencies to work in your country. You have to pay them in foreign currency. You have to pay them in foreign currency, and you pay your people in local currency. That's number one.
Are you against transfer of technology from some of the developed
nations? I'm not against transfer of technology, but I think if you want to transfer technology, you have to reform the immigration to include human resource management. What does that mean? It means people can come in here. If we see they are doing good things for our country, they become residents of this country, they can live here. And if we see they are good behavior, we can give them citizenship. They are not expatriates. They can be expatriates right here, just like we are. When I went to America, they saw me, they gave me residence permit and gave me citizenship before I started saying, let me go back home and give back home. You see what I mean? So the same thing happens. You got to go with the structure. For example, America was doing, you remember the diversity visa? What is that? It's to take the clear brains that can do the job up there. So if you turn around and do the same stuff here, you are going to be taking, when the economy of some of the developed countries are in range, you are going also to be doing what? Taking them down here to begin to do the work. They are not expatriates. They are citizens to contribute if they want to come and contribute. You see, that is my own position. My own position is not that you cannot reform the immigration. If you want to reform it, you must go a little bit elastic, very more stronger, remove the expatriate. Because when you begin, what about if the guy is just a high school student? or technical college in Europe, and he comes here, he becomes an expatriate. How do you see your workers?
So what odds do we have
Yeah.
in situations like that?
Yeah.
How can we put our best cards on the table?
Simple. Reform the immigration, turn around, bring the process that anybody who wants to come into this country we see that has value can come in. And we give him residency. And we work from there. You see what I mean? If you don't do that, you're not going to get them to transfer the technology. And secondly, you see, as soon as you key that in, then you can begin to talk about foreign direct investment. Because if you get the liberalized economy and then begin to post on the foreign direct investment, what happens now is you begin to allow people to come in and they want to be here and do business with you. You see, you cannot do business in the form that you are now if you don't liberalize the economy. The economy must be free market. The economy must be less regulation. The economy must be less taxes. The economy must have immigration reform. The institutions must be reformed. Institutions. Now, if you want the institutions to be reformed, it means you're going to be able to begin to think about the distinction between leadership and authority. And how do you do that? Then you will begin to think that leadership is a mobilizer and authority is an executioner. So which means you will begin to put round pegs in round hole and square pegs in square hole. That is the only way you can move the economy forward.
Okay, we'll take a short break. We have been talking to Professor Michael Umeadi, an expert on business management and organizational leadership. We'll take a short break. The program Frontiers continues in a moment. Okay, good to have you back on the program Frontiers. We still have with us Professor Michael Umeadi, an expert on business management and organizational leadership. Okay, Professor Umeadi, essentially, how did countries like New Zealand get it right? They have been at the top for 2 consecutive years in ease of doing business. Now, what can we as a country learn from New Zealand?
Good. If you go to New Zealand now, you see it's free market. If you're not free market, you're not going to get it. You must make people to love your country. As soon as you are going in for free market, then now you are now beginning to say, hey, I need stability in the country now. I need stability. That is immigration as well. I need stability. How do you need stability? You need to post a process by which the country can be able to know who and who is in their country. Okay? We don't know who is in this country. We need to know who is in the country. You see, it's high time we stopped blaming leadership or politicians. We have to blame each other because we are all parties in this game. Okay? We can blame each other. We are all parties in this game. But what I'm advocating is we got to liberalize the economy through reforms, less regulation, less taxes, immigration reform, our legal reform, rule of law. Rule of law. Because you see, without rule of law, you cannot change the people's behavior. Behaviors are changed through the rules of law. And you guys in the media are the appropriate people to begin also to change people's behavior. I am suggesting that government must have programs that show constitutional rights of the people and make the people arouse with their consciousness in order to work together. You can never develop our country if you don't arouse the consciousness of your people. The consciousness of your people must be aroused in order for everybody to understand this is where we're going to. Let's go ahead and get to it.
Okay. Now, Nigeria actually scored quite low in the area of electricity. What must we do about electricity in a way that it enhances our ease of doing business?
Very simple. Again, you're asking the same question. If you don't liberalize the economy, you are not going to be able to have the foundation structure of the economy. Power is the foundation structure of the economy. Mining is the foundation structure of the economy. Water supply and agriculture, foundation structure of the economy. Railroads, foundation structure of the economy. Roads, foundation structure of the economy. Communication, foundation structure of the economy. If you don't liberalize, how are you going to build those foundation structure? It's not going to be built. But if you liberalize the economy, foreigners will come in. Private sector participation begins to be the out process, which means the diagram here will be business, government, society. Business will be private sector business. Government will just stand to talk about what? To talk about regulations, protection. Business, I'm going to do this for you in order to grow and get more people into work. But you're not going to monopolize this area of business because I don't want you to harm the society, which is you and me, the consumer. So government stands at the middle as an impartial referee. Let me give you an example. How would you think that a football match is going on without a referee and without a linesman? It will be chaotic. So the same thing is going to happen here, because you can see this, our country as a football field, for example, in, hypothetically, so that people don't argue that I'm saying our country is a football field. It's not. But hypothetically, if you see our country in this mood, all what we need to do is to begin to say, we are going to get ease of doing business through the reform of the liberalization of the economy, and then attract money in order to build the foundation structure. If we go ahead, for I read over the paper whether they are trying to sell their assets is going to be sold. If we sell the assets, it's a good thing. I'm a free market economist. I like sales of the assets. I'm a free market economist. I love that. But I'm not going to say sell now if you don't reform. Because if you sell now and don't reform, you may eat up the money and don't build the foundation structure of the economy. Then where do you hinge back? You see what I mean? So if we want to get it right, what we do is, okay, we have these assets right there. Let it be there. It's very good for us. We're a wealthy nation, you know that, both in culture and everything. Now I'm going to go to the other side of the game. Let me reform the economy, make it open, make ease of doing business here to be to total 20th position in the world, because we can do that. We can do that. We have brilliant people. We have brilliant people who can do that. Then you reform the economy. Then they will be coming in. You can sell the assets. You have money. When you have money, you do what? You put it right away on the foundation structure. The economy will blossom. Reform is not very easy. Yes. Reform can bring some problems too.
Yes. The reforms are currently ongoing.
Oh, yes.
And they will keep coming.
Yeah.
Now we have approximately 170, if not more, in terms of our population. Now, with this kind of population, what can Nigeria do to look inwards and able to forge ahead in terms of growing the economy positively for Nigerians?
There is nothing we can do if you don't go ahead and do what? Reform the economy and build the foundation structure of the economy. If you don't have power, you are not going to develop. Read the history. Soviet Union, when they were Soviet Union, guerrilla power. You see? America power. New Zealand power. Australia power. Anywhere you see industrial development, power is not an issue. Because that is light. You got to be at light, man, not darkness. You see? So now you're asking me the same question. The answer is what? Sir, the answer is power. And how can you get power? Unless you liberalize your economy. Government should get out of business. Government should not be in business. Government should be an impartial referee between business and society. Because as soon as government is in business, it means it has a dominance model. It means government business, then what you will see is high, stiff regulations. And who suffers? The society. Watch. Power is not working. The society is suffering. We're still importing. You see how much money? We are importing oil from refined oil, from petroleum products. See how much money we are spending? These are monies that we would have used in building our foundation structure. But we cannot do that because we have not reformed our economy.
Now, you've said so much about power.
Yes.
Now, looking at Nigeria and the situation that we have on ground, dominantly we have been with hydropower. What is the position of alternative sources of power? What is the position of nuclear power? What is the position of other forms of electricity? And how can we begin to harness all that into one strong energy force?
You see, any form of power is good, but for me, why do you want to go to nuclear power? You don't need nuclear power because you have power all across your place. Sun, wind, water. What do you want? Even now, there is a machine being built in Germany called a water mill. Small hydropower, you just put it in your house, you get power. Okay, there are so many things going on. Wind. So why are you talking nuclear? Because you see, we cannot handle it. Because
so solar, wind, hydro.
Yes.
Okay, now Professor Umeadi, the World Bank ranked Nigeria 145 out of 190 on ease of doing business, and we moved up 24 positions. What indicators enabled this ranking?
Is it me as an economist? I don't even think about indicators. What I think is what exactly you are doing, like they did immigration. But what I want government to do is to go more into reforms. They will have better ranking. More into reforms. You see, sometimes reforms can be biting, but more into it. Free market economy. That is what government should get out of business. Government has no business in business. Government's role is an impartial observer, impartial referee, protecting business and protecting society, which is consumer, me and you.
Okay. Now, what does this new ranking actually entail on business in Nigeria, especially for the ordinary businessman?
You see, the ranking is 24 point down. You see, 24 point down. It's still substantial, 145th position. It's still substantial. But you see, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to praise the leadership for trying to do some. So I'm asking them to do more. Because if they do more, they will have a rank to about 50. Then they begin to see the impact. Like this, they're not going to see the impact yet. Okay? Because as soon as you liberalize the economy, many things will happen. Many reforms will come. You know, many reforms. Economic, legal, political reforms. You know, political, I mean cultural reforms. Very important. You know, we will be able to arouse our people and make our people understand this is their country. They can ask what they give to the country and not what the country gives to them. But they cannot ask that if you don't really give them that platform to ask for that. I'm suggesting that we are unable to manage our diversity. We need to begin to manage our diversity now by language. Language bandage is the process of managing diversity in Africa. Because you see me, if I talk to you in your language now, you'll be very happy with me. The same thing if you talk to me in my language, I'll be very happy with you. Why can't we get it into it? We can still use English, but we use some other languages that we know well about.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have been talking to Professor Michael Umeadi, an expert on business management and organizational leadership. Of course, he is a visiting professor of the University of Calabar, and essentially he has a very soft spot on the economy of sub-Saharan Africa. I thank you so much for your time, and I thank you so much for your views.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's how it's been on the program Frontiers with Professor Michael Umeadi. Until next time, we'll bring you another intriguing topic. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.